that to your coaching practice. Number one is vision. You have to have a clear vision of what you want your coaching practice to look like. Do you want to have a coaching practice that has 50 people that are your clients, or do you want to have 10? What does your coaching vision look like? Those who are successful CEOs have a vision for what their companies are going to look like in the terms of growth. Perhaps if it's going to become a Fortune 500 company, if it's going to be something that is famous or whatever it is, they have to have a vision. So you too need to have a vision for what your coaching is going to look like. So that's primarily number one. The second part of motivation is very important, and that is goals. What are your goals for your coaching practice? Are you looking to get 2 new clients per month? Are you looking to get 5 new clients per month? Write them down. Goals are very, very important. And the last thing, number 3, is self-efficacy. This here is unique because a lot of people don't know what the term means, and those who do know that it is self-confidence, feelings of capability. This would include things like a fee schedule, payment structure, contracts. People like that. You know, when I had a coach, he presented with me his fee schedule, the payment structure, how that would work, the contract of this situation we were engaging in. And that was very clear to me and very, very helpful. So self-efficacy also is going through following through with what it is you're saying. So if you have a client and you say to them, I'm going to send you a contract within 24 hours, make sure the contract is done. That is really important to self-efficacy. So back to the motivation part and the risk part. If you look at the example of Apple, you know, that computer company has generated a lot of innovation, but it also was very, very risky. If you go back to the Mac, back in the early 80s, nobody really had a personal computer unless they had either A, a lot of money, or B, worked in a company that had a computer mainframe. So they rolled out the Mac, which was very innovative, but also very risky. And the risk that the company had kept continuing. And lately they have the iTunes, which was very risky. You know, Steve Jobs wanted to set out a course of action where they would have the music industry transformed into one place to get music, which is the iTunes. People back in 2003 thought it was a joke. But as we know today, iTunes is one of the ways we get our music and our downloads. Even the iPhone back in 2007, it was seen as a really big risk. Why is a computer company going into the mobile market? Why? Well, they said that it was a part of the market share they wanted to gather. And they did, and the risk was something that was rewarded. So the innovation and the risk are tied together. Even today, with the iPad, another risky thing. People have computers, people have phones, but the iPad is something in between. It's risky, but also very innovative, and it has paid off. And even on the iPad, you could have iBooks, where you get a lot of ebooks, and that also is still coming around. So if you also look at the other formula I came up with, which is TMG squared, which is to reach a global market, you need to be creative. You got to think globally. So the international equals creativity, and creativity equals international. So that means that if we look at what it is you're doing in your coaching practice, what about it is A, innovative, and how could you get this message across to other people? How could other people be a part of what you're doing? I mean, as a coach, you do many, many great things. You help transform people's lives. You help let people realize their full potential by asking really good probing questions. That is amazing work. And you want to reach an audience where people could benefit from that. Someone that I know that served as an executive coach for me is in Portugal, and I'm here in Philadelphia, PA. We made that work. So you don't have to have people that are only in your neighborhood or local community. Coaching should and can be global. So how could you get your ideas out there so that people could grasp them? How can you create this global market where people are going to be asking for you to be their coach? Again, these are some of the questions, ideal generator. And if you look at some of the creative things that have happened in the past 100 years, they have went global instantly. If you look at something as novel back when as the car, that went global. Obviously, we have cars everywhere all over the world. Well, that simple idea was done by Henry Ford. So things can go globally, but it has to have creativity to guide that globalization. So creativity comes in many forms. Being a coach is a very creative process. You're asking probing and innovative questions. Creativity could come in writing a paper, teaching, researching, hobbies. All of these things are creative pieces. So how can you creatively get the message out there? And we're going to talk today in our talk as well about social media marketing, which is the buzz today, and people talk about that a lot. But people don't realize what exactly is social media marketing and what it is not. And this understanding, which we'll come to today, will help you in your coaching practice grow your business. And I'll talk to you about how to market that effectively. So if you look at some of the creative and globalization projects, some of them are huge disasters. If you look at the Nova example by Chevy, they released this new car into the global market, and as we know, Nova means no go. So what a great name for a car if it can't go anywhere. So Nova is not a great example, and we want to stay away from that. So you want to think about how could your message get out there internationally? What could you do to get the message out there? We have today in some commercials, we have talking lizards from Geico. We have Affleck with the talking ducks. We have squirrels that drive. You have to earn. You have to earn your audience today. And what do you have to do to earn that audience? What type of resources do you have to do, or have to have in order to get that audience? And I think if you were to take 3 fundamental aspects of your coaching business that would totally transform your business, there would be 3 specific areas. They would be to grow, attract, and sustain. So again, going back to the vision, going back to what it is you want to see your coaching business looking like in the near future. How do you grow that base? Is it through word of mouth, through friends? Ask yourself that question. How do you then attract people to your network? Is it the great coaching you're doing that attracts others to what you're doing? And how do you sustain this network? How do you have people coming back for more? How do you have people that really want to speak with you next week and they really follow through by calling you? How do you sustain this network? In these 3 areas, you can totally revolutionize through marketing. You can grow your coaching business, maybe perhaps by having flyers, pamphlets, e-newsletters. You could attract people through what it is you've done through case examples. And you could sustain your practice by being attentive through what's the self-efficacy we spoke about before, following through, keeping contracts, keeping methods of payment, keeping a set of schedules, that type of thing. And if you look at going back again to creativity, if you look at 2 companies, Ford versus Toyota, and just as I typed up the word Ford and Toyota, Toyota was automatically misspelled if it wasn't capitalized. Ford wasn't. So if you look at just that alone, you can see that Toyota has totally captured the global market. Ford may be recognized as a leader back in the 1900s, but it isn't today. Toyota is. So what is it about your business, your coaching, that can be innovative? So if we go into some of the fundamental pieces of marketing, there are four fundamental areas. You have 2 marketing methodologies. You have qualitative marketing and you have quantitative marketing. And it sounds like a really big phrase. Those phrases sound really kind of out of our league, but they're pretty easy. Then you have social media marketing and marketing segmentation. Now, understanding those three areas, and the fourth being the two methodologies, you can fundamentally revolutionize your marketing business. I mean, your coaching business, excuse me. So, qualitative marketing, that is very simple. That is a bunch of conclusions that you might gain. So, an example of that into coaching, you may think that you are located in California. Therefore, your business might attract more of a east or more of a west coast type of audience. That's a conclusion. You don't have any steady research to back that up, but it's a conclusion. Or if we take an example where you are going to pick out colors for your home, you have only conclusions. You're not sure how the color will look on the wall until it's painted. You just have conclusions. The only way to get definite and clear answers is through quantitative marketing. So you are asking specific questions and you'll get specific answers. So for example, if you were going to manufacture a specific kind of towel, you would market the towel differently to Alaska versus somebody in Florida. Also, you would market that towel differently from someone who lives in Portugal versus someone who lives in the UK. So you would market this differently. How would you do that? You'd have to ask specific questions for your audience. This would include something like, what texture do you like in a towel? Something that's soft, light, heavy. What color interests you? Something that is bright, muted, average. And how often would this towel be used? Daily, weekly? So these kind of questions, you're going to get exact answers. If you were to poll people in Alaska versus people that live in the UK, you're going to get different answers. You're going to get very different things. And that is the nuance for quantitative marketing. And that is important because if you are going to build a coaching business, you don't have to have any type of marketing methodology such as qualitative or quantitative. You know, people have built businesses based upon sheer hunch or instinct, and that's fine. But if you want to get into some nuances, you need to know some information. And I would say that in your coaching perspective, the qualitative would work best for you. Again, these are asking a series of questions. Asking questions about your business, what it is that you want to attain, your goals, your clientele, what it is you want to do. This is where I think you should be. Quantitative, save that for the experts. Save that for people in big, huge organizations trying to market a certain product. But qualitative would work definitely for you. Now, what do you do with all this information? So if you're going to do some type of focus group, or you're going to, in your coaching practice, maybe sample some of your coachees and ask them some questions about what it is that they benefited from your business or anything like that. What do you do with all this information? And I have an analogy for that. It's either you can have some blueberries and ice cream, or you could have blueberry pie. So with all that information, you can get either something very generic, blueberries and ice cream, or something dynamic as a blueberry pie. So take that information, use it to the best ability to guide your coaching practice. So again, I still think that the most practical way for you to proceed is the qualitative method. So devise a list of a lot of questions. Maybe you want to shoot for 15 to 20 really good questions about what it is that your practice could do to help somebody. What about it is your practice unique? How is it innovative? What risk have you taken? How has it been rewarded? Questions like this. Another area of idea generation. You want to be able to set the tone for answering them successfully. You don't want to ask a question in your coaching business, where will my coaching be? How many clients will I have in 30 years? Well, depending upon your vision board or depending upon your goals, that can be realized. But be more realistic. start with where you are now. Where you are now, what have you done in the past?